we've got the heightened energy of it being 888 this year.
8 on
yeah.
which bloody time zone, mate? Hello and welcome back to my YouTube channel. I know I've been AWOL for a while, everybody, but I'm back. And I'm joined with the beautiful Stella Grace. Although this video we were supposed to do maybe a week ago or whatever, but it was pushed back. And you know what? Everything happens in divine timing and divine alignment. And now I get to wear nice summer clothes as well, rather than the winter warmers that I was wearing. So Stella, my babe, how are you?
Hi, beautiful. Yes, I'm really good, thank you. And in the thick of the British summertime that we actually have been having a fair amount of. So all good, my end. Thank you.
Good. I'm so pleased. And I just want to let everybody know watching, Stella's actually filming at 6:30 in the morning. So if she's a little bit more quiet than normal, it's because her children are sleeping and we don't want to wake them up. So we've set an intention with the beautiful infinity between the two of us that everything is going to go with ease and grace. And I am in the back arse of nowhere. So like, you know, who knows what's going to happen with Wi-Fi. So we've set the intention that it's going to go with ease and grace. So today we are going to be talking all about the 8-8 Lionsgate Portal, but actually what's so special about this one is actually an 888, isn't it?
Amazing energy, the triple eight. I know I've been excited about this one for a while actually. So I thought it'd be a great one to get together on.
It certainly will be. And so Stella, from your perspective, what is Lionsgate? So because people might be watching this being like, Lionsgate, I've heard it being spoken about quite a lot, but what does it even mean? So for a minute, just to remind everybody, Stella comes from an astrological perspective and I just channel energy. I think it's the same thing, really, in reality, but so that people know where we're coming from. So from an astrological perspective, what's Lionsgate?
Yeah, so it's quite exciting because when our sun aligns with the star Sirius, is the 8-8 Lionsgate Portal. Now, Sirius is something that astrologers get quite excited about because it's known as our spiritual sun. And there's reams and reams of information there if people want to sort of delve into about Sirius. But in a real nutshell, it gives us more of a heightened manifestation portal, more access really to our spirituality, divinity, because of Sirius being like our spiritual sun. And there's eons of kind of history around that. But the Lionsgate particularly heightens these themes of the Leo energy. So the Sirius energy is like an activation and access point, as I was mentioning. So the manifestation bit is there. And then we've got the heightened energy of Leo. And then also we've got the heightened energy of it being 888 this year. So there's a few, you know, three just there, kind of heightened themes around this, the numerology, the numbers about it, but also the energy of it, and then also the astrology of it. So we've got a bit of a triple whammy.
Yeah, and it's so from my perspective, what I've really been seeing is that this 888 is basically an alignment of infinite abundance. You know, it is really and we are already in this portal, but it's just the peak hits on 8-8. That's correct, isn't it? Yeah.
Absolutely.
So what I'm seeing is that this is aligning everything for infinite abundance, and that could look like money, that could look like health, that could look like wealth, that could look like well-being, that could be like absolutely anything right now. And I think what's really important to say from here is what I keep banging on about, and we have to be really, really, really clean with what we're thinking, what we're speaking, what we're doing, how we're acting, how we're behaving, because this is where your life cannot go in one direction or another. Is that fair to say?
That's absolutely fascinating. And a couple of things I want to touch on that you've said already that are so activated for me and the astrology is I've been working with it and shown it as infinite potential. So you use the word abundance, same, you know, in this meaning it's absolutely the same, that wide open space for accessing our greatness, accessing our infinity, accessing our highest potential. And there's actually another theme I didn't mention that links in with our highest potential. So everything's really activated. A fourth kind of area in addition to the three I already mentioned is in Chinese astrology, it's the year of the wood dragon. Now dragons are all about infinite potential and our highest you know,
Ooh.
expression of our highest potential. And it's a wood dragon as well. So that's highest potential in the earth realm. I just got
Ooh,
goosebumps over.
yeah,
So again,
yeah, for
thinking about that
sure.
infinite abundance, thinking about our infinite potential, we've got so much beautiful energy to access it at this time. And of course, we can do this at any time. We can choose, you know, my beliefs around astrology are like, don't wait for an astrological event. We can be that energy. We've got the whole universe within us all the time. We are it. But we have these indicators and these opportunities to jump on. So we've just got so much opportunity at the moment. Second thing I was going to mention about what you said about our thoughts and keeping them clean. We're in Mercury retrograde as well. So that's really interesting. Now we get such a I think there's been a lot of fear energy pumped into Mercury retrograde over years gone by, and I get it. You know, tech and travel delays and you know, general mistakes or miscommunications can crop up, but actually what they're always doing is giving us an opportunity and an invitation to review something or reassess something or
Bingo,
slow something down. Yeah. And
bingo.
so this, you know, removing the fear from Mercury retrograde is something I'm really passionate about sharing every Mercury retrograde.
Well, let's go
And
there. Let's go there for a
yeah,
second then,
okay.
because
Mm,
you know what? I've had one Mercury retrograde that literally everything went to shit. Like my laptop crashed. I couldn't get it back. I lost everything on it. And this was
mm,
probably in maybe 2021 that this took place, right? And I had all sorts of different things going on. But I actually just laughed about it because obviously I understood Mercury retrograde. And I was the one that was always like, rubbish, rubbish. We don't have to live in
yeah,
that. We don't have to, you know. And so it was a humbling experience for myself, which I'm very grateful for. But
mm,
now it is just a case that I say, right, think before you speak.
yeah,
Don't be signing anything that you may well regret in a couple of weeks' time. You know, really sit with it. I'm not saying don't sign in that period of time, but just sit with it for a little bit longer and just say, right, is this really what I want? You know, don't
yeah.
agree to do something if you're not 100% certain in this period of time, is all I would say, because
Mm,
we kind of like overcommit ourselves, and we over communicate, and we it's almost like we're
mm,
overzealous in this period. We're too quick to shut people down, or we're too quick to want to be heard. And if we can just take a step backwards. Now, I traveled yesterday, I didn't get any delays. I've been in and out of technology. I haven't had any issues. However, one of my very, very closest friends in the world, in Australia, he said to me on a number of occasions, I don't know what's going on. My phone's not working. This is not working. And I'm like, oh, clearly it's just that period of time where you need to get off technology, be present,
yeah.
and go inwards. Because this is what happened when I lost
Mhm.
everything to do with my laptop. Yes, there was a bit of a drama because I had to get it backed up and this and that and all the rest of it. However, what happened was I was like, okay, why has this happened? I've been too busy distracting myself and not sitting with the being. And that's a gift
Yeah.
in itself.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is, you know, what kind of I'm always aware of with Mercury retrograde now. I actually quite like the energy because I often find it kind of slows me down a little bit in my
Yeah,
communication
perfect.
because I can be quite, you know, sort of scattered. I'll probably be quite quick today because talking to you always gets super excited for me. We're like high
And
vibing.
you've got kids that are going to
Um,
be getting up. You'll be like, double whammy today.
yeah, so we'll see where it goes as always. But yeah, generally it's like that invitation to look within, to slow down a bit. Where are we, you know, it's exactly like you said, going within and being instead of doing.
And what you've got
Yeah,
to
for sure.
remember, for me personally, when I do the golden infinity, it's always between my heart and somebody else's heart. So I put the
Mm,
golden infinity between me and my two little sisters, my twin sisters, every day. I visualize that there's just a beautiful golden infinity between me and one of them, then coming back, and then me and the other one, and just this beautiful flow. And this is what I
mm,
do when I'm working that. And so for me personally, right now, like, that's within. So, of
yeah,
course, now it's time to go within and allow that energy to just work through you. And it could be to slow your mind down and then back to your heart and then to heal your gut or your womb or whatever. And you could have the infinity going within you for healing, but you could have it between you and somebody else. And like now, I mean, we're filming this on the 6th of August, and you know, we're only a couple of days away from the peak of Mercury and of Lionsgate Portal. And if you can just envisage these beautiful golden figures of eight going between you and whatever it is that you're looking for, whatever it is that you're choosing, whatever it is that you're looking to be present with, you know, then this is a gift that you are not only giving yourself to be still and to be present more, but you're also giving it to whoever you're getting connected with, which is why I did the golden figure of 8 between me and the technology, to make sure the Wi-Fi goes with ease and grace. You know, likewise, I've put a little secret infinity between my heart and your kids, because I'm like, right, let's just keep them settled until we're done, you know, like, because that's the power of the infinity. That is the power of the 8.
I love that. It's so powerful. That's a really beautiful exercise and practice. I love that. And touching back on what we were starting to get into with the thoughts, I think that's a really beautiful one to do with our own thoughts.
Yeah.
Because interestingly, astrologically, it's got this, there is a lot of mental energy as well with this Mercury retrograde at the time of Lionsgate peak as well. So we've got the first half of Mercury retrograde is in Virgo. So that's really an invitation. It's the kind of shadow, if you like, of Virgo. You know, we'd all have the higher and lower aspects, so to speak, of all the zodiac signs, but the shadow things to kind of be aware of, or opportunities to grow from Virgo energy, is around not being too analytical, not being too affectionistic, and kind of that critical edge. So that's something else to really consider. And of course, the higher aspects of Virgo is the goddess of the zodiac. So the self-care, the great routine, looking at, and this is where I was starting to get into, like, okay, so there's a little bit of a call here to look at our schedule, look at our spiritual practices, what keeps us well. Virgo is all about nourishment and health. So I feel like we've got, you know, again, this potential for the infinite and the infinity coming in around those areas as well. And I think if we're not being self-caring, or not being kind in our own mental or inner rhetoric, that's really going to be shown. But we've got a beautiful opportunity to readdress that.
I love that, because one of the notes that I wrote whenever I do these with Stella, I basically just write down a few little notes based on what I've channeled with the energies, and then we just see where it goes, don't we? But one of the things that I actually wrote down, and I love that you brought the mind in, is I kept being told this is about your book. Now, my book is called From Head to Heart. So if you think about the golden infinity, if you allow it to start from your head and your thoughts, so we go back to the thoughts, which is what you were just talking about. They start in your head. Oh my God, I can't do this. Then bring it to your heart. Does that really feel right? Is it really true what you're telling yourself? Or is there something much more beautiful, much more loving that you can tell yourself? And then allow your second brain, your gut, to receive it, and allow the intuitive side to kick in, and then fire back up through your heart, and then finish the 8 up in your mind again. So if you actually like witness that process from head to heart, you can actually create the golden infinity sign and actually allow that process to work. And it really aligns with everything that you've just been saying.
That's beautiful. Yeah, I love that. And there's another lovely thing. Like, I'm really passionate about sharing accessible tools for people, quite simple stuff, because it doesn't have to be looking like some, 3-week spiritual discipline sitting
like this for 24 hours a day, like it's just not necessary, is it?
No. So it's great to have quick, easy, but really powerful stuff, really beautiful stuff. I love the gold as well, I have to say. I love the gold, something really high frequency about that. And back to the 8-8 stuff with the Sirius and the Sun, it's high frequency energy that we're tapping into, that we have access to.
Exactly. Yeah. And I don't know about you, but I really feel as if I've surrendered in the last 2 weeks. I've really surrendered into my feminine energy more than I have done ever in my life. I think, like, I've really enjoyed it as well. And every time I kind of visualize on this, because I'm very visual. I say this all the time to people. And even if you're not visual, you can still, what a number 8 looks like. Imagine it gold and just see that. Like, anybody can visualize that. Like, you really can. If you shut your eyes, you can just see a number 8. And, like with me, it's very different to that, but anybody can visualize that. So what I've been visualizing very recently is, it's almost like my golden wings have appeared. And it's like, you don't need to be at battle anymore. You don't, because it's done. Like, it's done. You just need to trust. You just need to surrender. And I've been being told, surrender. You've got the right people around you now. you know, like that
No.
underpinning this beautiful divine feminine energy coming in. And I don't know how you feel.
Mhm.
I mean, you're obviously a lot more in your feminine energy than I was. But I don't know how you've been feeling about that. But I really feel as if something's just like they put their hands on their shoulders and just gone, it's right now, you've got this, like it's done.
Yeah. That is really lovely. I've found that whenever I go out of kilter, if there's, my life's quite busy with the children and things, that word, but if I'm pulled away from my center, if I'm kind of in that, I'm amazed always in a really pleasant way by as soon as I sort of connect in or have a moment or ask, I'm given, I'm shown, I'm held. It's like that quick, isn't it? And
Yeah,
so it's really beautiful, that kind of instant
yeah.
being held. So it is really lovely. I don't know if it's a good point to mention, but I kind of felt this might come up for me today. Something has been quite a caveat to that, and I've really noticed there's been like a toxic masculine patriarchal imbalance being loud for me at the moment. So as much as I've got this kind of, yeah, absolutely, the divine feminine is like, so here, we're here for it, we are it. But it's really interesting because almost like in contrast, the imbalance of the toxic patriarchal system and the dominant energy there, like the kind of forceful energy there, almost violent energy, is like it's been louder, being seen to be healed.
Yes.
So I've
And
been really aware of that one.
that's actually playing out in reality as well. If we look at what's going on
Mm.
in the United Kingdom right now, we're actually
Yeah.
witnessing that play out. It is the toxic masculine energy now. People
Yeah.
may well listen to this video and be like, it's not toxic. We're fighting for our rights. No, we're
Mhm.
being lured in to healing this violent, feisty battlefield that we've been living in for our whole lives. And now it's time to surrender it. So, of course, to surrender, and people always say to me, but you say we're surrendering. Yes, but that has to come to the surface before we can truly release it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I've been feeling and working with that, and it's been getting louder because I'm quite, I mean, in some ways you could say ignorant, but it's actually, I just choose to kind of remove from it. I don't watch the news, I don't buy papers, I don't really even know what's going on in the world on a, an external level, because that and those energy hooks. So it's really interesting because I have been feeling and talking lately about the violent force of the energy, but with the complete understanding and trust that absolutely it's to be seen, to be healed. So coming up, but I have been contacted directly, like kind of like a toxic troll. There's been, so it's like, here, Stella, how this is coming up,
Oh,
like let's have a look at this.
interesting.
And I was nudged repeatedly to do a video on the toxic masculine, because I think in sort of years gone by of doing content and things, I've maybe focused more heavily on the healing point. Let's focus on the reality we want to create. Let's bring in the new earth. And I'm all about that. I'm wholeheartedly believe what we focus on, we give momentum to. But it was like, Stella, you need to get real, you need to get honest, you need to get like really clear on the shit that's going on so people can see it to heal it. Because
Yeah.
I'm kind of the optimistic approach usually, which is fine, but it's like, no, we're going there.
Yeah, we've got to be
um
real as well sometimes, like I'm very much
yeah.
like you. I always look optimistically, but sometimes, you do have to have difficult conversations. And
Mm.
for me personally, right now, it's more me calling out people that are having these like and creating these rallies and creating this stuff. Like they're really, really pumping the fear porn right now. It's like we've gone back to 2020,
Mm.
and but everybody's knowledge has just disappeared. It's like they've just wiped their own minds, and people that were, maybe even 6 weeks ago on the consciousness train have all of a sudden jumped back into the fear and the perpetuation of this toxic masculine energy. And I'm just like, wow, this is really intriguing what's taking place. So I like to
Yeah.
speak about it so people have the consciousness or the awareness on it. But like I'm lucky, I can observe these things these days and not consume it at all. I'm like, wow, that's going to be gold in the future. Wow, I mean, look at all the stuff that's going on with the Olympics and the sex and all the rest of it. It's very interesting. All of this has to come up, all
Yeah.
of the inversions that have taken place with all of the different agendas and stuff. It's all coming up right now. And I do feel that that is because of 888 and Mercury retrograde, because if you think about it, everything that is perhaps not been communicated quite so effectively and whatever must come to the surface. So now we've got this window of opportunity, window of potential, window of infinite abundance, but we need to just look at the things that have been blocking that. So it's kind of like I see scales, and I see some days like the doom and the gloom and the perpetual fear that's being created, and I'm like, wow, okay. But then there has to be the side balancing it out on the other side. Like we live in polarity at the end of the day. Like we live in a dual world. So this is why
Yeah.
I look at things very differently. But there are a lot of people getting suckered in right now.
Absolutely. And it was like when this troll came in with like a blatant expression of this toxic imbalance, he was in it and he was delivering it. And, you know, as much as my little human kind of went, okay, that's, you know, that I was a little bit taken aback at, but there was no damn way I was going to like get into an argument or get hooked in by a massive emotional response. He's as much affected by that toxic energy as the women that he speaks derogatory to. You know, he's as much it's a negative impact for us men and women. So to be in conflict energy in response, and that was, you know, another part of my content of like, you know, don't be lured into this isn't men against women, this isn't, you know,
I actually love,
energetically.
yeah, I love what you've just said there, Stella, because one of the key things that I always attempt to bring people back to is if somebody is talking about something and they're pointing the finger at you, they're basically being derogatory or, you know, being a bully or being narcissistic or whatever word you want to use for it, they're actually telling you where they are at with themselves. It's never about the person on the receiving end. Now, people say, no, that's not true, Lucy. No, it is. It's a perspective. We have a perspective that life should go in a certain way. If anybody goes outside of that, we have these things called reactions, premised off of our stories that we have created through our whole lives. And it is down to the way that we deal with our reaction. Good example, right? To make this really, really basic, right? If you are missing somebody, is it the person's fault that you are missing? Or is it you because you feel like something is missing? Think about it. It's not their fault. Yes, they could have texted you, or yes, they could have called you, but you could also do the same. So your perspective of missing somebody, which we all do, which is why I picked it, we all miss somebody at some points. And the simple solution is your reaction to it. Hey, babe, how are you? I miss you. Or let's chat on the phone soon. You know, that's the kind of thing that would mitigate that reaction. Now, I know I've used a very, very basic one because it's not that highly charged, but people get pissed off. I'm missing this person. Why are they not calling me? Why are they not texting me? Why are they not, you know? But at the same time, it's happened to everybody, that reaction. There's not one person in this world that hasn't missed somebody at some point, which is why I wanted to use it. I mean, more often than not, it's much more highly charged than that. You don't know what you're doing. You're supposed to be an expert. You're this, you're that, when actually the other person is basically saying, I don't feel good enough. So I'm going to put you down to make me feel slightly better. And this is why it all comes down to you recognizing, and there's no better window to do this in the window of opportunity, but also the window of clear, decisive, concise communication.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. And again, going back to that value, you know, the self-value in our thoughts and our thinking in our own world. And of course, Lionsgate, as well as Mercury retrograde, is giving us an opportunity to look at self-expression, whether that's inner, outer, you know, how we show up with our own sovereignty. So I find it really interesting that we've got issues of power so loud. And this is the great thing about this guy's verbal attack, let's say. It was the loudest call in a series of calls that I had to create the content that I needed. It was like, thank you for that last nudge, because I really needed to voice that. And this is, you know, again, that expression and that power, that personal power and sovereignty.
I actually love creating content off the back of what people say to me or do. Yeah, I love it. You know, and it's not I'm going to get you back for creating
No.
this reaction in me. It's like, right, if this is happening to me, this is happening to everybody. And I just work off of that pretense. So we actually have to be really grateful for these people, don't we, that just like give us that final little nudge across the line to create the game-changing content that no doubt so many people out there will be like, oh my God, yeah, this happened to me. Different circumstances, but pretty much the same situation.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So something else that has come up massively for me, I mean, like we said, abundance, manifestation, healing, and wealth, they're massive for Lionsgate. And in all honesty, kind of expected.
Yeah.
It's kind of what we talk about most Lionsgate, is that manifestation is really potent. Now, I've got to be honest, in the last week, I have had some conversations that I've known for a very long time they were going to take place, but they've taken place. And I'm like, shit, this is really powerful right now. There's healing taking place within me, within my family unit, within my friendships, within my relationships, that I'm like, this is incredible what we're witnessing right now. People are healing so quickly. They're owning it. They're taking it on board. But also we're seeing these opportunities of such abundance. Oh my goodness. It's like, you know, somebody said something to me the other day, and it was something that I've been thinking about for a long time. And he basically said to me, I see you doing this. And I was like, oh gosh, this means it's really going to happen. You know, and but not in a oh gosh scared way, in a oh my goodness, it's a bit of a gulp, like, okay, it's time that we're going to the next level. So we really are, it's almost like we're being elevated. If you are in alignment and you can recognize your reactions, you can recognize the trauma that's taken place, you can recognize your stories, you're almost being elevated to be able to have success at a whole new level. How does that resonate with you?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I think that's the thing, that infinite potential is just like the opportunity of us accessing who we come here to be, like who we already are, but just can we be maybe brave enough and maybe know that we deserve it enough to just step into it and allow it. Again, that surrender, but also it's already destined for us, if you like, for want of a better word, that we reach our infinite potential, isn't it? It's just that we often don't feel like we deserve it because of those stories or because of that trauma or because of whatever. And instantly, that's a lot of what my book is about coming up, to, you know, support people to remember that actually we've come here to have it all. And of course, all of that that's gone before is our tools and our opportunities for growth to assist us to reach it. So
Exactly.
interesting.
Yeah, it really is. Now, the other word that I actually wrote down was flow, which is interesting because we've spoken about the divine feminine energy. So I've really seen that this, like, it's a choice now. We have to choose flow. We have to choose the divine feminine energy. Now, I'm not saying men, you've got to be nurturing and kind and loving all the time. I'm not saying that, but we need to allow things to flow. So at least be aware of the feminine energy. We need the men to protect. We need the men to provide. We need the men to support. Like, that's what the masculine energy is there to do. However, we have been so rigid that now it's about the flow energy. Now, what do I mean by flow energy? And then you can give maybe your perspective. But for me, a lot of what you've been talking about, self-care, self-love, this is flow. Does this feel good to me? Does this feel authentic to me? Is this what I truly choose for my future, for my family, for my friends, for my career, for my whatever it is that you're creating? That's where I'm at right now. And I really, I see as part of the self-care and the self-love that spiritual hygiene must be our number one priority.
Yeah.
We've been so slack with it. We've been so distracted, like the last couple of weeks, particularly as the noise is starting to pump. You know, we have been so distracted. And now it's time to say, I know all of this stuff is going on around me and there's nothing I can do to change it. Yes, obviously there is. You could go and protest and you could go and do that stuff, but is that going to serve you? That's down to your choice, not mine. But then it's like, right, how can I make myself be as high vibration as possible whilst a lot of people around me are in a fear energy or in a bullying energy or in a negative, can't see the wood through the trees kind of energy. And this to me is all about spiritual hygiene. What are you doing to protect yourself? What are you doing You know, how are you setting your day up? That's what I would probably be suggesting as a priority right now. How does that sit with you?
Yeah, I absolutely love it. So much coming through as well as you're talking. I love that you use the word flow and all of that kind of represents, because interestingly, with the divine feminine, how I've been feeling about it and the content that I've been bringing in about the toxic masculine is using the divine feminine more as a regular choice point, like you say. So using the word flow, and I think that's good to sort of break down for people what we're meaning by the divine masculine and divine feminine. Like, you know, we don't have to like be a different person. It's like you say, using it as a choice point. So setting up your day in a more flowing, easeful, graceful way. And this is, you know, personally and collectively, we're seeing this redressing the balance. And what I mean by that is, so for example, like you say, the rigidity, we've been so conditioned by the working week, the toxic masculine energy of productivity, of must strive harder at all costs, not be in the house that you're, you know, working all these hours for, not seeing the family that you're trying to protect and nurture, you know. So all of that redress and the balance by making the divine feminine, whether you're a man or woman, a more regular choice point. So again, what do we mean by that? Being more intuitive, listening to our gut. You know, we're so conditioned not to listen to those kind of feelings generally, and just to be distracted and busy and working and all of that. So yeah, just being in more flow. I love setting up the day, because again, we're back to thinking about what's our routines, what's our spiritual hygiene, how we nurturing and nourishing ourselves through this time as men and women, bringing that in as a choice point. So yeah, I absolutely love that.
Okay, whilst you were just talking then, and I hope you don't think this is rude, but like literally the whole time you were just talking then, I just keep being told I've got to do a meditation at 8 on the AAA.
Amazing.
And I'm like, okay, thanks for that. 8 on which
Yes.
bloody time zone, mate?
Oh yeah.
You know, so like I was listening completely to what you were saying, and I love the fact that you've articulated, because a lot of people actually get a little bit angry when we talk about divine masculine, divine feminine, because we are a combination of both, you know,
Mm.
and we don't need to, like, I know women that are very in their very masculine energy, but I also know women that are very feminine, and then I know men that are very masculine and some that are very feminine, and whatever it is that is working for you. I guess the point that Stella articulated a lot better than I did is it's about choosing which foot you want to put forwards. Doesn't matter what sex you are at
Mm.
any given point of the day, because there are some times where when somebody tries to bully you or they try to be rude to you, that you do need to bring that protective masculine
Mm.
energy up of, you can't speak to me like that. Who do you think you are? And you might not say it. You know, I had a great example. In fact, I'm going to give this example. So I was in the gym earlier today, and I went to pick up some weights, and this guy literally took them out of my hands. And I said, "Excuse me, what are you doing?" And he just kind of like looked at me, and I walked away and I went back and I was like, right, how could I have misread this situation? Because I observed what he did. Once he took the weights from my hands, he literally just put them on the floor. So he didn't want to use them. It was a really, and I was like, and then it took me probably about 30 minutes. I just carried on training and doing other things. Then I went back and got those bloody weights and used them. But it took me about 30 minutes. And I was like, maybe he thought when I was putting other weights back, because these weights were a lot smaller because I was doing different exercises with them, maybe he thought I needed them to be moved so I could place the other weights back. And I was like, okay, sit with this, see how this feels. But this is a perfect example of when somebody, like, you can flip between the energies. So the initial reaction of, excuse me, what do you think you're doing? Masculine, protective, you know, I'm going to support, I'm going to, like, you know, put a bit of a barrier up. But then 30 minutes
Mm.
later, I'm going, okay, a little bit more nurturing and a little bit more in flow of, maybe he thought he was doing me a favor. And
Mm.
this is just a clear example from one of probably 50 that I've had today that I can articulate to just say that is the flip of the energies. Now, I am a woman. I was born a woman. I am a woman. I've got all the women bits, you know, but for a massive part of my life, I live predominantly in my masculine energy. So for
Mm.
me, I can really feel the difference between the flow, which is why in the last couple of weeks, me being able to be in my divine feminine a lot more, because I've felt safe. I felt secure. I felt I didn't need to do those things that men do. that I can really feel the difference splitting between the energies. And it's not a negative thing that we've got all of these energies working through us. We just need to recognize at certain times, you know, you need to bring the masculine forwards. And then there's certain times you need to bring the feminine forwards. Like when your child falls over and grazes its knee, the last thing it needs is get up, walk, bah, 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 bah. It doesn't need that. It needs, right, nurture. Doesn't matter whether you're a man or a woman, the child needs nurture. What do you need? How can I make this better for you in this now moment? Do you need to cry? Do you need a hug? What do you need to do? It wouldn't be received well if you went in with the masculine, you know, energy at that point.
Mm.
So we need to recognize that we're calling on both of these different energies at any given point.
Mm. And it's really beautiful, isn't it, that we actually have this awareness now to be able to recognize all of these aspects that are already within us. You know, like me with the guy online, it was like to be able to have to come back with an intelligent response to what he was raising, and to have my voice and be able to express it, because, you know, from a women's rights perspective, this sort of, you know, it's not about feminism, as I was saying, but there wasn't that many years ago we wouldn't have been able to do that, have a voice, open a bank account, you know, all that really basic stuff.
Yeah.
So if we look at it on like a 3D surface level of the imbalance and the disempowerment, amazing that we can now, years on, rightly so, have these conversations, express our voices, talk about not being in conflict, but actually, you know, having a boundary, compassionate boundaries. I just, yeah, it's inspiring. And this is again why I'm with you on, thank you for this opportunity, for these incredible conversations and awareness points and choice points.
Yeah, and that is it. It is an opportunity. It doesn't mean that I'm right or you're right. It just means it's an opportunity. And, you know, it's only 10, 12 years ago that I couldn't have felt if I was in my feminine energy or my masculine energy, because I was in constant fight or flight and I didn't know the difference between the two. I thought it was normal to behave the way that I was behaving. I thought it was normal to be a kick-ass female because everything around me, all the stimuli around me had convinced me that that is what the world wanted me to be, when actually all the world wants all of us to be as balanced. And I do feel, I said I kept seeing these scales. I do feel that this balancing of the scales is coming in so much more in this potentiality window that we've got of the 888, right? You've got a choice. Do you want to balance your infinity sign, their number 8? Do you want to balance it properly, or do you want to have one circle smaller than the other? Like, if you actually think about it like that, we are being given the opportunity 3 times to balance ourselves. I love
So
this
beautiful.
stuff.
Yeah, it's incredible, isn't it? There was just one other thing I was going to mention actually about the Lionsgate, particularly, that we haven't touched on, and that's the creativity aspect of Leo. So all of our projects, all of our, again, links a little bit into the feminine, whether we're men or women, in terms of what really floats your boat, what you're passionate about, what do you want to create, whether it's hobbies or whether it's, you know, what do you want to get behind and bring into the world. So it's a beautiful time for that energy and accessing our highest potential within it. But also children in the physical sense. So if we have children, but also all aspects of children. And I think with the Mercury retrograde link, it's a really good opportunity for any inner child healing or work. You mentioned healing, so it's another really nice facet there. And of course, our future babies as well, for those who haven't had their spirit babies yet. So I've got a really good friend who's working with her spirit baby at the moment. It's just such a beautiful energy. So I just thought I'd mention creativity in children, because I think the Lionsgate is all about that too.
Yeah, it's funny. I've been there's been a lot of noise around children with myself as well at the moment. So it's very, very fascinating that you bring that up. I just wanted to go back to the creativity point though, because what I'm seeing now is, if you are aligned to your project, your passion project, or whatever it is that you do, like, the opportunities will be endless for you. It's, for me, this is all about authenticity. This is about stepping into the energy that is aligned with you, so that you can actually do your imprint of what you were supposed to do.
Yeah,
you know, and if you are willing, like, I truly believe, Stella, and this might be me just being totally out there or, being far too optimistic. But I truly believe that everybody's got a passion project in their heart. I do. My passion project is Soul School, right? I want to make the world a better place for the children. I don't care how I do it. I want to make the world a better place for children. And I will speak to anybody that has the same mission as me, because that we're kindred souls at the end of the day. Like, we're all here, or a number of us are here to help the children. And for me, that is just, I don't have children yet this lifetime, but trust me, it's so strong within me. So, I know that anything that I focus on in this now moment and in this window of time, really up to the end of August, in that, I haven't looked past August, let's be real. I keep getting little snippets about October and I'm like, stop, I'm not ready for you yet. Let me just get through August, then I'll look at September. I'll get to October in a bit. October's going to be massive, by the way. Oh, gosh. But yeah, anything that you are aligned to, anything that you're being authentic, and anything that the word that you used was passion, if you are passionate about something, you can be so successful now. Because we're really we've been given this power. It's almost like we've been given this fire in our belly to go create it. And most of us talk ourselves out of it.
Yeah. I absolutely love that. And on that, talking about children, I think I can hear my little people. They've heard us.
Well, it's kind of good, because we're getting to the end of what we were talking about anyway. Just on the children point, though, I do see lots of energy coming in with the children now. I really do. I think that there's a whole new wisdom that's going to be coming through with the children. Like I say, babies are just constantly, I've got a little girl that talks to me constantly, and oh my gosh, it's nuts at the moment. So Stella, is there anything else that you wanted to talk about from a 8-8 perspective?
No, I think we've covered everything. I had a couple of notes, and we've actually covered them all. We've covered everything I was have to share. It's always so nice to talk to you, Lucy. And yeah, really, it's just lovely to connect. And it's fascinating, as always, that we end up on the same page, or channeling the same things, or thinking about the same things.
Well, it's validation at the end of the day. And what I love, and you've probably got the same thing, but my followers will often send me messages and they'll be like, hey, that statement you made 6 months ago, this woman's just started talking about it. And I'm like, yes. And I guess it's a bit of an ego thing, but I love it when validation comes in. I made a prediction, and probably about a year or 18 months ago now, and Pam Gregory started speaking about it apparently a month or so ago, and somebody sent it to me, and I was like, oh God, I feel really flattered, because there are amazing people out there doing this stuff. And I just, this is what it's not one of us, it's about all of us coming together and sharing our gifts and balancing it out. And yes, some people don't resonate with it at all, and yes, some people do, and that's what this world is about. It's about finding our pockets of our people, isn't it? And you are definitely my person.
Likewise, beauty.
You
definitely
really are. You really are. Well, ladies and gents, as always, I'll pop Stella's detail below this video. So if you want to catch up with her or find her YouTube channel or anything, please don't go and check it out. But we will let her go back and be mum now, as the little ones are up. Thank you so much for your time, sweetheart. I've really, really enjoyed talking to you, and I look forward to doing it again soon.
Me too. Thank you for having me. It's lush to see you as always.
Same,
enjoy
babe.
the energy.
Lots of love, my sweetheart. Take care.
Bye,
Thanks, everybody. See you later.
Bye.
Bye-bye.